When I was still in school, it seemed normal to me for people to be consumed by things that just wasted time, whether it be playing video games, watching shows or movies, and just anything that provided comfort in the current moment. I was no different. Something changed though. I was constantly on social media at the time, and something I kept seeing was people flex their wealth. Now, this is basically the first time I started seeing people who actually had success consistently, and this motivated me to want to do something similar. Now, the motivation to want to do something similar unfortunately stayed that way. I was always afraid of doing what these online gurus had preached because I knew that I wasn't good enough and that I'd probably end up failing if I tried. I also, keep in mind, was a teenager at the time, so I constantly had this idea that it was just illegal and wrong to make money, and instead that school is where I should be focused on. But that's when I stumbled across the self-improvement niche, more specifically a YouTuber called Hamza. You see, at the time, Hamza constantly preached about building discipline through actions such as working out and eating better, and through obsessively watching this guy's content, I started to do the same, eventually getting in better shape. He then started to post more finance related content, and that's when I realized that if I was able to go from being in the worst shape of my life to looking better than most people, maybe the same is true for making money. This is when I actually started to get serious about making money. Any ideas or negative views I had on making money were thrown out the window, and I had decided from then on that if I hadn't mastered it, then I can't make any excuses on why I should or shouldn't do it. I honed in on one thing that I thought would yield me the most success. That thing, of course, being dropshipping. I didn't know what to expect because this world of selling things online that you don't even have just seemed weird to me, but I was willing to do whatever it took. I never wanted to go back to my old self that just indulged in all of my desires and wasted time. I wanted to finally start making money, even if it meant destroying my old self in the process. Now, filled with all this newfound passion, I decided to act on it. I looked for products that solved a problem for my target audience and decided on a mosquito net that basically stopped mosquitoes from entering your house, letting air in, and you were able to walk right through it. I was confident in this product, so I spent weeks watching videos how to design a website for it. I had to learn different programming languages to make my website look the way I wanted it to. This took months of my time, but I managed to make a website that I was finally satisfied with. And after all that was said and done, I finally started trying to run ads, and unfortunately, they got blacklisted. Now, since I was a kid at the time, I was horrified because I didn't have any ID that I could use to verify my Facebook ads with, so after a while of trying to figure it out, I realized that I could use one of my family members' Facebook accounts to actually advertise. So with that issue solved, I started running my ads, but that's when the second issue came in. I was broke. I had blown my entire bank account on running these ads and unfortunately had no way to continue advertising. So at the moment, I just gave up on the idea of dropshipping for a while until I was able to get some more bread. I tried again, but this time with a different approach. I instead chose to sell drones, which at the time were very in demand and not many people knew how much they really costed. It was a high perceived value item, and I had decided to fully dedicate myself to selling these drones. Now, this is when I started to be absorbed by the drop shipping related videos online. I learned as much as I could about ads, website development, copywriting, and anything I can get my hands on to make sure that this time I wouldn't fail. But there was a problem with this. The more content I watched about drop shipping, the less and less I felt motivated to do it because of how intricate and hard it is to apply everything I've learned. I was tempted by the opportunity of having a service-based business because of how much less complicated it was and how much money I could make to fund the dropshipping business. I eventually gave in and I started mowing people's lawns and made very good money doing so, but all of this was a distraction from the main business I wanted to pursue, which was dropshipping. Even though I was making very good money doing so, I came to the realization that there wasn't really very much leverage to the landscaping business model, not as much as there is for the dropshipping business model. See, everyone has access to the internet, but not everyone has a house, let alone a backyard. So I decided to quit landscaping and I fully focused on dropshipping these drones because that is what I set out to achieve at the very start. After everything was said and done, I started running my ads and my store was fully up and running. Not even a few days later, I had finally gotten my first sale, and then another and another. They kept coming in and it was a feeling that I will never forget. I had generated thousands of dollars selling things that weren't even mine, and it felt so good knowing that all those months of hard work finally paid off. I was unable to see the world in the same way again. This seed of making money online had forever been planted in my head, and ever since that day, I had started to see the life that everyone lives the way it really is. A life that people live that isn't even their own, one influenced by their environments, like the idea of going to school, getting a degree, and working a job. That's all something that has been programmed into everyone's brains. It felt like I had broken out of this cycle and was destined for greatness. I had to warn everyone that the path they were going down might not even be their own, and share the wisdom that I had gained from this journey with with everyone else. It became apparent to me that everyone just didn't seem to care because fundamentally it was a difficult journey and one with many uncertainty. Same cannot be said about the traditional path of life. I wanted to help people who were just like me break free of this ideology that living the normal way will eventually lead to abnormal success, which is impossible. People who are committed and actually want to go through hardship to succeed. If you are this very specific person I'm talking about, click the first link in the description.